if you've had people tell you in the past that globalism, Marxism, the whole nine, the entire movement was completely satanic in an effort to destroy religion everywhere in the world, well, thanks to the Olympics, you may want to give that another look. Also, DEI hires. What's the deal? They've been everywhere for so long now. They're reaching such high positions that it's starting to become extremely dangerous. Let's get into it.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I don't want you to write. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the streets. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad.
Has the whole world gone crazy? Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
You have the luxury of not knowing what I know.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode. Give me 1 second here. I had an issue with the Twitter feed that I'm trying to correct really quick, just to get the chat up and running for X, because I think I figured out why last week it was being blocked, and I just want to get that going. Give me one moment, and that moment has passed. So hopefully it is up and running properly on Twitter right now. I just need to double check that I am there. So you will likely see two feeds, but only one is actually working, and that one will actually be commentable. So you can actually drop comments from Twitter today. Of course, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, all lit up and ready to go with comments. So if you have opinions on what happened in the Olympics or later on in my DEI conversation, by all means, feel free to jump in. If not, then, and I will highlight them and react. If not, I got plenty to say, so we can just roll along. All right, so obviously I'm a little late to the game from a streaming perspective for the Olympics, because it's been going on for quite some time now, the reactions to it, and I don't have the flexibility to just pop on and start popping off at the mouth about it. So in my case, it's a little bit delayed, but nonetheless, I want to make sure that I go over it because it was a big enough deal, and it speaks to a lot of what I've been saying, period. And I mean, if you're that person who's been hearing this from people like me or others, or and that there's a definite element of Satanism in this and the occult, and that there's a spiritual war going on as much as anything else between the people of Christians, right, and globalists. I mean, I've been saying for a while, it's a part of the Marxist strategy to destroy religion. And, whether or not, we're dealing with a mix of people who some truly believe in the occult, others just like the idea of destroying religion, and then others who just are doing it for the Marxist fact that they understand for the strategy to be successful, they must destroy religion. And so, or those that are just really the occult, right? And so there's a mix of all these characters in there, okay? But the reality of the matter is, from the globalist perspective, for the folks that have the power to actually implement this at the Olympics, it's important to understand that these are Marxists. And it doesn't take away from any biblical significance of that has been mentioned. A lot of different things have been mentioned, and it doesn't take away from that. The fact of the matter is, however Satan is using tools, for those of us of faith, however Satan is using his tools to try and infect people, and they say the greatest trick he ever pulled was convincing people he doesn't exist. But the occult is a convenient play for Marxists as well, because again, destroy the family, break up the family unit, and so this way children, they belong to the state. The idea that children belong to the state is a fundamentally core Marxist belief. All right, that parents are not the ones that should be doing this, that should be, that should be raising their children, that it's the state that should be doing this. Give me 1 second. I'm looking at my audio, and it appears as if it's delayed. So my apologies if we're not looking at, if you're not seeing my mouth move with or in time with the software, because I don't have any control of it at this point. I'm already live. So unfortunately, it is what it is, and we'll have to get through it. But, with respect to the Marxists and the significance of what they do and the significance of, of the whole movement, they have to destroy religion, and no better stage than on the main stage. Can someone confirm that my mic is lead to, so it doesn't matter? All right. Sorry, I was still trying to fix that audio, but it'll be what it is. So with respect to the Marxists, we saw what we saw, right? And I have some clips. I know most of you have seen all of these clips, but I wanted to comment on them. And for anyone that is living under a rock and didn't see them, I didn't want to just comment without actually seeing. So without actually showing what I'm talking about. So, you had the Last Supper, right? Listen to the commentators, if you can hear them. Actually, they went quiet. They were talking in one of the clips about like the stylist and the fashion designer and all those types of things. It's amazing to me. If you're an announcer and you see something like this, like, I don't, you know what? Like, again, this is that point where you got to say, screw this. I'm not going to do this just for my job. And there does have to come a point where you get there. And I've been there with the, with the vax, and I was ready to leave my job. Like, I was 100% ready to leave my job. I was 100% ready to go to battle, with my kids' schools. I was 100% ready. There's no way I was putting that crap into my kids. There's got to be a point where you just say, you know what, I'll find work. Like, if you're good at what you do, you'll find work. And if you're not, well, that's going to bring me into my later conversation about the DEI hires and why they're so significant. So, they put this up, they put up that 4 horsemen, and then they scrubbed everything from the internet, which is what really, like, really got me. This one was the 4 horsemen. Right? And a lot of debate over what this was symbolizing and what horseman it was and all those kind of things. And then this guy gets off the horse at some point. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy, and then walks the torch up. There's a bull's head in the up on the rafter. I couldn't even find that footage because they have scraped the internet. I'm sure it's out there. And if you have any, email it to info@thepatriotthinktank.com, because I definitely am trying to get my hands on it, of him walking down with the torch, looking all Grim Reaper like, and obviously one of the horsemen, and as death is what I think it was. I think it was the pale horse, but we'll see. And then the back scenery of, there was a bull's head just sitting there. I'm like, and then Snoop Dogg with the goat on his necklace later tried to say, well, this is because, I'm the GOAT, greatest of all time. It is symbolic and whatever. But at best, poor timing. But I'm not really buying that, because he never really was the GOAT. I liked his music. He was really good in the hip hop game, but he was never the GOAT. Everyone would ever have a reason to call him the GOAT. And so, in the end, so much blatant blasphemy, immediately offending billions of people, and no one cares that and they didn't even really apologize. Everyone says they apologized. They didn't even really apologize. They didn't. Like what they did is not an apology. So I'm seeing my voice is off. Am I talking to myself here? I'm showing audio on my end. Thank you, Robbie Gav, for throwing that out there. But I'm showing audio on my end. So let me know if there's an issue here, because I am showing audio. I'm showing my lips being off. Or is that what you're saying? My lips are off. Yeah, I caught that, and I can't do anything about it at this moment that I know of, as the streams are already set to multiple platforms, and I don't have a guy to yell at to fix the bad connection. So it happens in the initial connection, and I don't know what to do from there. So my apologies if it's distracting. I understand, and there's just not a lot I can do. So I got to roll with it, and just show must go on. Show must go on. So if I try to break it now, it's going to create a new feed for everybody, and that's going to be a nightmare, and I don't want to deal. So, but anyway, let me get back to, maybe I'll just take myself off screen. I could do that and just finish this without it. But look, they're after your religion, and they're after your kids. All right, those are the two things that are absolutely necessary for Marxism to succeed. Is they need your children, and they need to break up the family. I'm sorry, they need to break up the family, and they need to break up your religion. Why? Because religion, if there's a power higher than the state, then that's telling you not to do what the state is telling you to do. That's not acceptable under Marxism. It's just not acceptable. The state has to be the overriding, all-in power. That's just how it has to be. And then with respect to the family, well, it's obvious. They need your children. They want to be the ones to teach your children. When you look at any fascist regime that has ever taken over, all right, whether go back to Mao, go back to the Soviet Union, with Stalin, go back to, and all of them, Valenzuela, you go to Vietnam, it's all the same story. Nazi Germany, they start with your children. And, in that movie, the documentary, I think it was the final account, I think it was called, where they realized that the children of Nazi Germany were all coming of age and becoming, yeah, Robbie Gaff says not timed. Yeah, I can't do anything about it. Like I said, I already addressed it. So, but thank you for letting me know. I noticed it myself. But it was the children of Nazi Germany were all coming of age. They were all becoming, in their late 80s, early 90s. And they did this documentary just to try and get a final account from them. And one of the things that they all said, well, not all of them, but was said multiple times in the documentary, was this interaction between school and with them and their parents, and that they were not on the same page. School was teaching one thing, their parents were teaching something else. They were being told by their parents not to listen to what they're saying in school, but they all acknowledged they actually leaned more towards the people at school than they did their parents. And it's important that it be that way for them, for the Marxists. And you see that it's happening here. It's been happening here. We are catching on way too late. But the fact of the matter is we are catching on, and they can only succeed in darkness. So, we will have a batch of children that will be going into schools in the coming generation, who will be forewarned about this stuff. And when teachers and these Marxists that slip into our education system, and trust me, the next generation of teachers is going to be all about it. When they get in there and they start to pump this stuff like, you're learning more than what your parents know. Your parents are racist. You don't even know it. That kind of thing. When they start doing that, the kids will be ready for it. And the kids will turn around, instead of their parents hearing it for the first time and their kid and saying that's ridiculous, who taught you that, and them telling their parents that's what they told me you'd say. Now they'll be telling that to the teacher. And so, we're on the path right now, and it's going to take time. It took 60 to 70 years for them to get us this dumb, and it's going to take a while to get us, it's going to take a while to get us, to a place where, everyone can just stop and look at those who believed all that crap and look at them as a failed psyop. And that's where it's going to end. They're going to end as a failed psyop. That's how they're going to go down in history, because the psyop will be revealed. And we'll see what it all was. We'll get the details. We'll know all of it. And these people are still not going, by the nature of mass formation, these people are still not going to go ahead and believe that they were a part of it. So, it is what it is. And, you see it, we've seen this in Hollywood. We've seen this with Disney. We've seen this. We've seen this all over the place. We've seen it all over the place. Movie stars with the hand over the eye or the all-seeing eye and all these symbols. It is what it is, but to me, I just see it as something that's hold on a second, folks. I'm getting all right. I had to check that because I know I'm having audio issues, so I just wanted to make sure that these are the challenges you face when you're on your own, right? It's like I know that like right now there's nobody like Glenn Beck would yell at somebody right now. He wouldn't even yell at somebody. It would just get corrected. Like they would just see the issue and correct it, and it'd be over. But when you're your own producer and you're trying to focus on what you're saying and you're trying to do what you're doing, and stuff like this happens, there's not a lot of leeway for you to do. So, but anyway, getting back to these globalists, right? So we know what their agenda is. We know what they want to do. We're seeing it everywhere. We've seen these Hollywood people, all of them paying homage with the demonic stuff showing up on stages, flashing on screens. All of it is necessary in the occult, and all of it is happening. Okay. And so what do we do now? We're in this spiritual war. What do we do? Well, you can start, right, by acknowledging the fact that it's happening. And number two, make yourself right with Jesus, right? Make yourself right with Jesus because, there's two teams right now in this fight. And there's one that I'm pretty sure you don't want to be on, right? There's one team that I absolutely want no part of. And as long as that team is what it is, I'm not gonna. It's a no-brainer for me. It's a no-brainer, right? Now I've toggled with going back to church. I haven't been in a while, but the reason for that is that I'm kind of torn. My wife is Protestant. I'm by birth, well, by baptism Catholic, and spent the better portion of my life Catholic. I have serious problems with the Vatican, though. To be straight, and so there's a part of me that doesn't know what church to go back to. And my wife, there's a church out here, a Protestant church, that we tried going to with the family a while back. Still there, they're growing, and I may just go back there, and just for the sake of taking the action, but I don't consider myself a Protestant. But from what I saw in those sermons, they're all speaking righteous. There was nothing in there that made me think, it was a bad place to be. Nothing like that. So we'll see. But Brian Kroll over on Facebook, Ultra MAGA Patriots Forever, Trump 2024. God bless America and our true president, Donald John Trump. Yeah, I'm with you. It's all about MAGA 2024, right? We're all in now. We're all in now, right? Like I mean, I had my moments where I kind of lean towards DeSantis. I still kind of really like DeSantis, but I get it, and I'm in. I'm on the Trump train. Especially, I mean, each time he was attacked, right? It added to the symbolism. So, thank you for the comment. But and look, is Trump going to undo all this demonic stuff? No, that's a cultural thing that we have to take care of, right? Like there's about I always talk about the I always talk about the conformity experiments, right? And how the percentages kind of laid out, right? Solomon Ash's experiment was the first. Dr. Matthias Desmond did the mass formation ones, kind of the same thing. And there's always that 30% that you can't change their mind. Those are the ones that Yuri Bezmenov talked about. Like they're just, forget them. They're gone. They're programmed. Nothing you could do. And then you got that 40% in the middle who, they know what's going on, but they don't really take action. They just want to kind of be left alone. That's the I don't do politics person, right? And then there's the 30% who are speaking out about it all the time and call it out whenever they see it. And and really it's the 40% right now that are the problem, frankly, not the other 30% who are just loony and believe there are unlimited sexes and or limited genders and all this stuff. That crowd's not changing, right? But there's 70% of the population who knows that all that stuff is nonsense, and only 30% of it's speaking up. The other 40 needs to get in. They need to get involved because and like something like the Olympics happens, and you can't call yourself a Christian and be sitting there watching the Olympics. In my opinion, you just can't. I mean, if you look at your gods, if you look at God so in such poor light that someone can insult him in that way, and you just be okay with it, that's not okay. It's just not okay. Like there's a war going on, and it's been going on for a long time, and only one side is fighting it until recently. So it's time. It's time we all wake up, and it's time we all take care of business here. And a part of that is getting Trump elected. Yes, a part of that is not because he's overly Christian or this great, but the Lord doesn't choose, the high priest to do his work. Like that's just never been the case throughout the Bible. He tends to look at tax collectors and even prostitutes for that matter, but he doesn't immediately gravitate to the highest so-called priest, etc. He goes for people who are far more flawed. And Trump fits the bill perfectly. So, look, we get him elected. We continue this fight against the globalists, right? I mean, the CCP is really running this entire show. They are. They're running they've been running it since 1990. They've been monitoring it closely while the Soviets were running it from the mid 50s, let's say, up until 1990 when they fell. And they're going to continue to do this. So, the CCP is the greatest enemy the United States can have. There's no one close. There's no one close. Everybody else, the BRICS countries, all that, Middle East, they're all beneath the CCP in terms of threat to the United States and global ambition. They're all far below. And so it's important that we all understand that and be able to fight back accordingly. And we've only been fighting now since 2020. So, the reality of I mean, yeah, Trump took on China a little bit. He did. He put the tariffs on, and the way he handled them in public was phenomenal because that's how they should. I actually miss him saying China. like there's elements of that I miss. But beyond that, though, look, the war is there. The war is with the globalists. It's not a war fought on a battlefield. Second Amendment ain't going to help with this war. It's just not. If this war continues to steal hearts and minds, there's going to be big problems, and that's just something that we can't let that happen. So. All right, contact. I do recall contact as a regular viewer. So thank you for watching. Contact. Put a lot of thought into that name, but I remember you being present for many of the broadcasts over the years. So I appreciate your being around. Rare bird watching on YouTube. I do still stream there just because I do still have some 1,400 followers there, but I generally have stopped trying to get new followers on YouTube about a year ago. It's just not worth the fight with YouTube. And Facebook is becoming the same way. So if you haven't followed me on X, please make sure that you head over there and give me a follow. I will follow back. I definitely am trying to grow the X following so I could be done with all this censorship, even though it's a little trickier to use. It happened to me on and saw the notification. Hey, at least you got a notification, man. I'm telling you, nobody get that. That's why I stopped dealing with YouTube because number one, they were punishing me regularly. Like they would just email me to be like, you haven't done anything wrong lately, but we found something 17 months ago that you did, and we decided to penalize you for it now. Like I'd get those kind of emails from I just was done with them. I don't know what they want, and their policies make no sense, and they don't tell you specifically what you did to violate them. I just can't. Rumble, Rumble, I don't have to worry about. Yes, it's a little quirky in the way that it works, but you know what? Now I got it working where I can share the chat from there, and you got to pay for Rumble to stream live, which is another, downbeat, but at least there's no censorship, and I don't have to deal with all that drama because I don't say anything all that controversial. I really don't. It's like, but they be whacking you for opinions on YouTube. I can't deal with them. I can't. But content contact is I said contact. It's content contact. So you are one of the reasons why I still stream there. So thank you again for watching. All right, I want to get into the second half of what I wanted to talk about now. Here we go. So as I have the the death horse behind me, I wanted to talk about DEI and DEI in the sense of how dangerous it is and how pervasive it is, and really start to get people to look at exactly how much is how many DEI hires there really are. I mean, it's not like a little bit. This has been going on for a long time. There are major companies who have DEI hires all throughout their senior leadership, all throughout, middle management, all throughout. And what makes a DEI hire significant is the control that one can have at a board level over a company. And what do I mean by that? Well, you've got people who don't belong in their job, right? You've got people who have been hired above their head, and they're getting a sick paycheck that they can't believe that they're getting. And the odds of them actually, as a true leader would, rocking the boat in some way or saying something that, that may be controversial, or saying something that may be, deviant from what the main message is because it makes sense. The chances of that happening when you have people in place that are not qualified are slim and none, because their goal, and you'll notice this if you work for a large corporation, or you have in the past 10 years or so, you'll notice the culture. It's like an episode. It's like reading Atlas Shrugged, where the culture is just, I don't want to get blamed for it. I'm not getting blamed for that. I'm not going to, that's not falling on me. I don't care what you do, but that's not falling on me. Push that off to this person. Let that person handle it. That's what they are. Okay. That's the end of what they are. And so why is that significant? Why is that important? It's important because basically what you're looking at when you look at these corporate structures, and I know a lot of people think the corporations are the ones who are running everything. They are not, right? They are not. CEOs are employees, and they're not owners. They don't have that much authority. The board is what makes decisions, and the people who sit on that board are not run by the CEO. And the fact of the matter is, those boards, if the CEO doesn't follow DEI and doesn't follow this direction, that CEO will be replaced with somebody who does. That's what it comes down to. They'll just be replaced, or she'll just be replaced. They are not in control in that way. And the thing is, going down the chain, okay, as you make one bad decision that a true business leader would be like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. That you're gonna kill. That's going against our customer. You're attacking our customer. Why would you do that? No, they won't do that. What they'll do is they'll shut up and do what they're told. Why? Because they're not qualified to even do the job that they're in. And the bottom line is that's understood by everybody. It's not talked about by everybody, but it's understood by everybody that these people are simply unqualified. And you listen to them talk, they regurgitate. And then there's times where it gets dangerous, right? Because, in a large company, right, it's not, depending on what the company does, right? It's not necessarily the end of the world. It's just bad customer service or bad whatever. But in some positions, like police, for example, or Secret Service agents, it can become seriously bad. And I have this clip with this DEI cop hire, and I want to share it.
She doesn't look that believable.
He said, she doesn't look that believable. No, she doesn't look that believable. She looks scared Okay, let's just back this video up to. I mean, look, right? You see where everybody else is. Like this he's taking cover. He's pointed out, right? And then you look at her. You see the other two people in this shot, right? And then you look at her, standing back, afraid. Look at how she's holding the
She
stand.
doesn't look
She's
that
got a
believable.
gun. Like she looks scared to death. Like she looks like if shots start getting fired, she will throw one of those other cops in front of the bullets before she takes a hit. Imagine having this person as your partner. Imagine having this person as your partner. Now, I'm not saying women can't be cops or or anything like that. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this woman can't be a cop, at least not one in the field. What on earth is this woman doing in the field? All right. This is going to get somebody killed at some point. All right. And I'm sure this video is going to go viral and this will be addressed with her and they may very well take her out of the field. But if it weren't for this being caught on video and putting on the internet, how would you even know that this woman is a problem? How would you even know that? It's more likely that finding this out will be when someone else gets shot. When another cop gets shot or when a civilian gets shot because she was afraid to act when it was time to act. And that's, it's she's standing out in the open, be the first one to get shot. Yeah, maybe, but she's kind of off. She's not just out in the open. If you look at where they're all pointing, right? So they're all pointing this way. She's covered by that bush. But she's not like she
doesn't
knows
look that
the only
believable.
place she can go and still be engaged is in front of that other officer, right? Is in front of the officer. There's three. The first one, she's not going there.
She doesn't look that
She ain't
believable.
going there. She's gonna cover herself, and that's gonna be that. And so she ain't worried about those other officers. She ain't worried about the suspect. If that suspect starts shooting, she's done. She's out of there. And that's just I brought this example up because it's just one of those situations. She reminds me of the girl from Police Academy with a soft voice. I know exactly who you're talking about. only in Police Academy, that character, if I remember correctly, was actually tough as nails, right? She actually turned out like she ended up getting mad and got all crazy. Right. And I think if I'm remembering it properly, Police Academy was a long time ago. But yeah, she gives you that feeling, right? Of like, if you're a criminal, let's say this, right? You're an arch criminal and you come up against this police officer, she's done. She's done. So even for the sake of her own safety, it makes no sense to have this person out in the field. She should have never been hired. And what kills me is that there are positions that are not in the field. Why on earth? Who hired her? And how did she make it through training? How did that even happen? Like, I don't even understand that. So, like, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But the point is, these hires are all a part of the same. Like we look at these issues, right? Like I talked about two topics today: the Olympics and the demonic nature of Marxism and whatnot, and why they get into demonizing and attacking Christ, and they get into trying to break people from religion. And then we talked about DEI, and understand both things are the same thing. All right, they're two different issues, but they both are a part of the same war that has been waged on us for Lord knows 60 years now. And it's, they're not different. And this is kind of what I try to get across to people is that they've infiltrated our federal government is done. It's structurally broken. The reason I advocate for convention of states is because the federal government cannot correct itself. It is incapable of correcting itself. Cannot be done. The things that are needed to do that, it will never do. It will and right now, 3 of those things are on the current list for the current calling of a convention of states, and that's government overreach amendments and fiscal restraints and term limits. They'll never do something like enact term limits on themselves. They won't do it. As a matter of fact, the president wouldn't have done it. Roosevelt would have been president forever if it wasn't for the fact that people saw how creepy it was after he got sick and whatever. But the point is, if he were healthy and younger and ready, he would have taken on 3-4 more terms, and people would have voted for him. Like there, even today in the history books, they teach about FDR like he was a good thing for this country. This man was a disaster, and many people understood that after him, we needed to make a change, and the amendment went in to term limit the president. But we need one to term limit Congress. Like we failed to do that, and now we're dealing with the consequences of that with politicians who have been in office for far too long. Far too long. And that needs to get corrected. Bottom line, it needs to get corrected. And the only way we're going to correct it is through a convention of states. That's it. That's the only way we're going to correct it. Give me 1 second here, folks. I'm going to try something here and see if I think I made it worse. Trying to get all fancy and try and correct this audio issue, but I don't know if I'm supposed to be bringing the milliseconds up or down. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I ain't no perfectionist at this. I either have it running right before I start or it's Coitens. And it might be Coitens. I don't even know how far off it is. All right, I'm going to keep going. So the point that I'm trying to make to everybody is that it's all the same thing. It's all the same Marxist revolution nonsense that we're dealing with, whether it's the Olympic satanic stuff or it's Kamala Harris being, placed into a presidency candidacy where she was never voted for and she didn't get one delegate when she ran for president on her own. She just dropped out. No one wants this woman, but how are they so quickly able to get in line on a message? Because that's how it works. When you've got a mass formation going, that's how it works. And these people are quick to jump. I mean, look at the weird JD Vance's weird nonsense, right? I mean, just look at that for a minute, right? JD Vance is weird. JD Vance is weird. Or Republicans are weird. Like this word weird is all of a sudden like the talking point. And you see it everywhere. There's a collage of all of these different friggin' people doing it on Twitter, where they just one after the all these different newscasters talking about how Republicans are weird, how this Republican scenario is weird, how this is weird. Everything's weird. Weird. All of a sudden, they did this with the war on women. They do this with everything. All right, they're all lockstep, and it's the same people that have the satanic stuff at the Olympics that are pumping these DEI hires, that are pumping this into our school institutions so that they can train and create more of these people that they can then later promote to these high positions who will not have deserved it and will then do whatever they want just to keep their position because that vanity actually plays in to the whole demonic piece, right? The fact that they're playing on vanity, like these DEI hires, like if you were truly a humble person, like if someone tried to hire me, right now, I've run a business, I've run large restaurants for other people, I've run my own, I've worked, I've done a lot of leadership work. If someone tried to hire me as the CEO of Pepsi, I mean, to take that job, right? Like I would take it, but I would be clear with them. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't, I'm not going in with the expectation that I know what I'm doing. I'm not doing, like break it all down. And if they're still like, yeah, we want to hire you, then I'll collect a few checks, sure. But I'm not going to go in there pretending. If I was in there as CEO and something goes down that I can make a decision on, I would make that decision as CEO, right? Like I would make decisions based on what I see and what I believe. I would not go in and be a puppet for somebody, for the sake of the paycheck. I just wouldn't do it. And people go, yeah, you would. You never offered that kind of money. It's like, it's not about that. I don't need that kind of money. I mean, I want that kind of money, but I don't need $200 million signing bonuses and all this stuff. If I could get to $1 million, right, 2 million, just enough that I don't have to worry anymore, and I can, put things on, be free to do whatever it is I want to do. That's all I need. I don't need CEO money. I can make that money elsewhere without selling my soul. So now, mind you, Pepsi would not do something that drastic. But the point is, because if you're going to get to CEO, that means you've already played the pawn, right? Because I certainly wouldn't. I won't do it right now to be a manager of my own company. Like I stopped applying for the position because I was like, I don't want to work for you people. I don't have any respect for the leadership here. I do some. There are some gems, some diamonds in the rough, but the overwhelming majority, I'm just like, you don't know what you're doing. And the idea that I'm going to group myself with that, I stopped applying. And the fact of the matter is, I'm a better person for it. Because I didn't have to go down that path. I didn't have to, Now, yeah, does it make me super happy in the position I'm in? No. But the reality is I'm happier than if I had to deal with that. I'm happier than if I wasn't allowed to speak up. When I bring up, ideas and comments and reasons why things won't work that are being done, they fall on deaf ears because no one is trying to get that. No one's trying to talk to their boss like that. And even though their boss, if he's good, would appreciate it, as I always did, but there are so many that aren't good that like that are just there for whatever reason, they buy in, they don't make waves, they do this and that, and that's what that's just where we're at, and that's not an accident. Those people exist for the same reasons to accomplish the same goal. I shouldn't say for the same reasons. They exist to accomplish the same goal that the Olympics satanic stuff is trying to accomplish. That all of this stuff is that the COVID reaction was trying to accomplish. All of this is trying to accomplish the continued desensitization of society and the continued upbringing of new generations of people who will comply. That's exactly what is going on. And when I looked at all this, that's exactly what I took away from it. And that's exactly what that's what I'm going to keep taking away from it. And I keep saying on the broadcast, as I talk about globalists and the CCP and how they are running the UN, and the UN is running the WEF. So if we're really looking at this up the ladder, it ends with them. And they're bigger than the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds don't have an army. People think money is this all powerful thing. It's not. It's not more powerful than an army. When a nation like the CCP, which is more concerned, it's concerned with money, but only in the sense that it needs the economic might to overtake the United States. That's the only reason they care about money. And when your motivation isn't money, the Rothschilds are useless. That's all they have. So and they don't have an army. So there's nothing they can do to the CCP that would damage the CCP. Nothing. And the people you should be afraid of are the people whose goal is power, not the people who think money is power. Because those whose goal is power, they have money too. It comes with the power. It's the same way you could earn money and get a certain level of power. You get that you don't have to make reservations at a restaurant maybe, or you get first row seats to this and that. Yeah, okay. But it's not real power. Like the real power is in government. That's where no one, even the mafia, nobody is more powerful than the government. Not the drug cartels, not our government anyway. Not the drug cartels, not any of it. And the CCP is more dangerous than what anybody could ever fathom. And it's important to understand that they are pulling the puppet strings for every single one of these things that are happening before your eyes, that are making you say, I don't want to be a part of this. Well, how did this happen? How did we get to this place? How do these people think like this? How could we have so many people who are cheering for Kamala, and there aren't that many? But even the idea of the people they have, like even to have a few thousand cheering for Kamala is stunning. Forget a million. Now, but they do, right? They have it. And that tells you the power of what they've been doing. And it tells you that the slow approach that they've taken with the United States has been incredibly effective. And the only way it'll stop being effective is if we start educating our children ourselves. If we don't send them to school with the expectation that that's where they're going to get the bulk of their education. They could teach them to read and write, but beyond that, like anything about history, anything about politics, that all needs to be taught directly from the parents, and it needs to be taught before they get into school. Anything about gender, the two sexes, all of it needs to happen before they get into school. Because once they get in there, the poison begins. And if they don't have the anti-serum for the poison, it's over. You're going to go in there, they're going to learn stuff you're not even going to recognize your kid. So I guess those are the 2 points that I wanted to make. I appreciate those who were commenting throughout. I am a little bit tired today. I had a crazy day, and now that my audio is not working, I don't even know how many people are watching right now. But that being said, with the audio not being at its peak, I'll probably come back on. I'll try to come on Sunday. I don't want to guarantee that, but I'll try to come on Sunday afternoon around 3-ish or so, just to kind of recap some stuff and go over, and especially if something big happens in the next few days, which is not unlikely, then you can think to yourself, I'll probably be on to talk about it. So until then, folks, let me go back to my main screen. So until then, folks, just want to say thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. T-shirts are all available on my website, thepatriotthinktank.com.
And like that,